It's Minx from AverageGEEK, and I thought I would actually dive back into something I started covering last season, but unfortunately due to technical difficulties I never got to finish. We're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming season of Once Upon a Time. It is one of my favorite shows. I love it to death. I got hooked on it a little late, but I completely caught up and I adore it. First of all, I will be discussing a little bit from the end of season 4, so if you haven't watched it, there are spoilers ahead. Um, but let's get into it. The full complete season 4, which takes care of the pretty much Frozen storyline with the Ice Queen, Elsa, and Anna. All of that, all the way through to the end with the Queens of Darkness, is now on Blu-ray and DVD, so you should totally go pick that up. Season 5 is actually gonna its premiere is on September 27th. It's a Sunday night at its usual time, which is 7 Central. Um, so let's get started. So at the end of season 4, we're left with Emma saving Regina by essentially becoming the new Dark One, or as they're calling her, the Dark Swan. Um, this is definitely a twist I didn't see coming. Usually about halfway through a season, I can usually pick out certain things that are going to happen. I totally called Henry becoming the new author. That seemed pretty apparent, especially if you think back to the fact that he was the one, essentially, that the book talked to. He had a connection with the book, the storybook, since the very beginning. And I think that was ultimately going to be his destiny. Plus, it fits, being that he has the heart of the true believer. Um, that's all stuff that, to me, was really apparent. I did not expect Emma to become the Dark One um, until the moment actually happened. Um, I am glad Regina's not going evil again. I'm glad that it seems like she'll actually get to have an actual full-on hero arc. She's very quickly, over the last season or two, become one of my absolute favorite characters. She's extremely complex, um, and I like the fact that she is that mix of good and evil. I liked one of the things in one of the season 4 episodes, was when Regina was having a conversation with um, Anne Margaret, or Mary Margaret. Snow White is not one of my favorite characters. Um, she was having a conversation with her, and Mary Margaret was discussing the fact that not everyone is purely good or purely evil. Everyone's got either a light side or dark side, but they've got the other too. Not everyone is purely one end of the spectrum. And so she could see the good in Regina just as much as she could see the bad. And I think that was a very poignant point that actually got carried through the entire season, especially the second half of the season. I mean, even the villains have redeeming qualities or reasons behind their villainy. Um, so it was actually quite fascinating, and I like the fact that the show, even though it's basically putting fairy tales in a real world setting, is a lot more complex. It's, if you dig down beneath the surface, they're dealing with a lot more complex issues than is first apparent. Um, so now we're left with Emma is now the Dark Swan. She did the ultimate sacrifice and saved Regina from being overtaken by evil and losing her happy ending that had just become within her reach again, even though it's complicated because of stupid Zelina, who I fucking hate that character. Um, Oz was not one of my favorite story arcs. I feel like it was weaker than some of the others. Um, So now we're left with that. I'm actually kind of excited. I want to see where they go with it because Emma is a more complex character. And it'll be interesting to see, given the revelation of what her parents did to ensure that she was good, that she was full good, the savior, whatnot. It'll be interesting to see her actually becoming evil, getting in touch with the evil that she never had the opportunity to have in her life, because of the fact that Maleficent's daughter has all of the evil bits or the bad bits that would have naturally been hers. It also makes me curious about if they're going to be bringing back Maleficent and showing more of the relationship development with her daughter, Lily. Um, so that'll be interesting, I think. Um, I want to see where this goes. Chances are, from the hints that I've seen posted around the internet, it looks like Rumple will actually be the one training uh, Emma, which is kind of exciting. People might get a little confused, but Robert Carlyle, who plays Rumpelstiltskin slash Mr. Gold, actually was reported at saying at Comic-Con that Rumple is not in a coma. It's Gold that's in a coma. Gold is the one who has a white heart, and Rumple doesn't. It's a very different thing. Um, so a lot of people kind of dismiss that as a passing comment, but it might actually prove to be more important, because obviously there is that split, there is that difference. Personas are a little bit different when you're in the Enchanted Forest as compared to when you're in Stony Brook. So that'll be interesting. Rumple is also one of my favorite characters because he is also complex. How do you fight that beast inside of you? Um, I am looking forward to seeing the development of that character. If now that Gold is good, if he'll be able to get Belle back fully, because they were one of my favorite pairings. Regina and Robin is one of my favorite pairings. And Emma and Hook are one of my favorite pairings. So I'll be interested to see how that goes. Is this going to tear Hook apart, or and force him to go on a darker turn, or is he going to stay good? Because I actually like him as kind of the in between, kind of the anti-hero, um, always constantly combating his past in being a villain and his future of possibly not being a villain anymore. It's kind of like a similar arc to what Regina goes through. Um, Other news for season 5, one thing we know for certain is that we will actually get to see Merida, which is exciting because Brave was actually one of my favorite of the semi-recent Pixar movies. I adore that movie. And I love the character because she is yet another strong female character, and I feel like we definitely need more of those in mainstream media, because we really don't have that many. And I think girls who are hitting um, certain stages in life really need characters to look up to. So it's kind of exciting to get yet another one. I'm also curious as to how they're going to play her, if they're going to play her really similar to the movie. I know that they never do it exactly like the movies and stuff, and that this is considered completely separate canon than the movies themselves, which is fine. I completely understand that. But I'm still excited nonetheless. I want to see what they do with her and what her storyline is actually going to be. Because I don't think it's going to be bear hunting. I'm wondering if actually, I think my prediction at the moment is that she's actually probably going to run into um, Emma, and she might be tasked with actually hunting her, like she may have hunted the bear or had to deal with Mordu. Um, so it'll be interesting. It's either that or they'll rehash the movie, but you never know. Um, One of the things I like a lot about Once Upon a Time is the simple fact that they do take all of these fairy tale characters from our childhoods and bring them into real life, and they put them in real life settings, and oftentimes it's friggin' hilarious to see what they get into, what they have to deal with, you know, the connivingness and the humorous situations that they find themselves in. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the humor and the complexity and making these fairy tales almost seem realistic. Now, there's obviously corny parts, but um, for the most part, I would recommend this show to anyone. I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe the first couple seasons are on Netflix. That's how I watched it to get caught up. Um, when I was behind the first couple seasons, I got Loki hooked on the show, although I think he fell behind a bit. Um, it's it's got action, you know, it's got classic sword fighting, um, it's got humor, it's got Regina and Rumple have the best one-liners, especially Regina. She gets the best dialogue, I swear. Um, and it's got the humor, which is great, you know, a lot of snarkiness. And one of the other things is it's actually got those kick in the feels kind of moments that I really appreciate. And, you know, twists and turns. I mean, yeah, there is some predictability here and there, but you have to really be paying attention. And it's interesting how they intertwine a lot of the fairy tales and how they get some of the fairy tale people to completely interact. I'm looking forward to this season of Once Upon a Time. I'm going to do my best to do a review of each episode within a day or two of it airing, so you get my opinion. Those will have spoilers in them, so beware when that comes. Again, the complete season 4 is out on Blu-ray and DVD, so if you haven't watched it yet, go pick it up. And the season 5 premieres on the 27th of September. It's a Sunday at 8 o'clock, 7 Central. Later, geeks.